Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Kyle Trefny. I'm a white settler of West European and Jewish descent, born and raised on Ramaytush Ohlone lands in San Francisco. I'm a young person, a queer person, and a wildland firefighter, artist, researcher, and organizer. Yeah. I'm the co-founder of FireGeneration Collaborative, or FireGen, where we center young Indigenous practitioners and frontline fire workers in transforming society's relationship with fire. I want to start with a character. Who knows this one? Shout it out. Anxiety. Yes, this is Anxiety from the movie Inside Out 2. Made just next door in Emeryville. A quick show of hands, if able. Who here has experienced or knows someone who experiences climate anxiety? Yeah, me too. Like millions of people in my generation, I grew up with climate anxiety. And wildfire was a big part of that. Fire was both a childhood fear of mine and a defining experience. Each year in high school, classmates choked on smoke, friends or family members evacuated, and people around us in California lost homes, livelihoods, and lives. I started looking for ways to process through art like this, and I also met other youth who felt this anxiety too. Here are some of my classmates in high school and I. During fires, we organized food, clothing, and donation drives. We learned we didn't have to respond to anxiety with fear. We could respond with organizing. And that stuck with me after graduating in 2020. That same year, the West Coast, as many of you know, experienced one of its worst fire seasons. Thousands of people lost homes, and thousands more died due to smoke pollution. The skies turned orange. I knew then that I couldn't imagine a future for myself without fire. So I decided to become a wildland firefighter. I moved to Oregon for school, trained, and joined a crew the next summer. This is my crew that first year. I was honestly pretty scared when I started, but the crew helped a lot. When my tent blew over in a storm, they helped me reset it. When I had to get my toenail yanked off by the fire medic, they carried me back to camp. We worked long days, protecting homes, putting out flames, clearing brush, lighting backburns, and I've come back every summer since, and I'll do it again in a few months. But this photo here represents something else too, which is limited visibility. Not just physically, but educationally and psychologically. In my first training, I was told, policy is above your pay grade. We were trained on fire behavior, but not fire history. We weren't taught that before colonization, more western US forest lands burned every year than even in the largest fire years in recent history. That Indigenous peoples stewarded frequent, healthy fire for millennia, benefiting ecosystems and cultures. And that the first wildland firefighters in the 1800s were US cavalry soldiers who had committed genocide against tribes in the Indian Wars and who suppressed Indigenous burning. To this day, firefighters are still not taught how to work on Indigenous homelands without damaging cultural sites. And we learn about physical safety in training, but not cultural or interpersonal safety. Many women, as well as queer people like myself, face harassment in camps or crews, often with no recourse. We also aren't taught about the exploitation of incarcerated or migrant workers and how that exploitation undermines everyone. And we aren't told how bad it is for our lungs to be given no masks or respirators, or that there's cancer in the clothes we wear, or how dangerous climate projections are for our future in this work. Sometimes it feels like we are expected not to know these things. But I'll tell you something that I learned from youth organizing. if you threaten people's future, we will threaten your expectations. Yeah. There are very powerful movements happening right now, like land back and fire back. Yeah. This photo is from Northeast California, where land was returned to the Mountain Maidu after a long struggle with the utility company PG&E. For the first time in generations, cultural burning is returning there. I was invited to witness this at a training last year. Honestly, the experience made me feel glad to be alive right now and to be active in this time. In 2022, a group of us, young firefighters, cultural and prescribed burners, and researchers started talking with each other. We realized that our generation will live with the long-term consequences of society's relationship with climate and fire. Our labor is relied on to respond, but we have very little say in shaping this future. So we took a chance. We created a coalition of worker and student groups across more than half the US states, calling for young people, especially from Indigenous and frontline communities, to have a voice in fire management. With literal GoFundMe money, we traveled to DC. We met with federal agency leaders and congresspeople. Our team bonded and we found direction, and we became FireGen. That's us. Here's some of the amazing people who've been shaping this journey. Over the past few years, our momentum has spread like wildfire. We initiated one of the first youth panels to ever advise a federal commission, a panel of young Indigenous practitioners and early career fire workers. We organized the appointment of one of the youngest federal advisors in US history, my dear friend and co-founder, Ryan Reed of the Karuk, Hupa, and Yurok tribes. Yep. We shaped and advanced recommendations in multiple governance processes on Indigenous rights and sovereignty, workforce access, and fire education in schools. We've led research centering youth and early career fire workers, voices who you almost never hear in workforce research. And we've organized events where participants can think about fire, labor, and Indigenous sovereignty in deeper ways than they did before. All the while, we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to build an organization that provides people with real jobs, creating this transformation. Thank you. We are now working to create our dream programs where frontline youth who want to transform our future with fire have peer and mentor networks, resources, and strategies that support their goals. Yeah, it's needed. This artwork that we commissioned represents possible futures that we see. When I was younger, the future that I imagined and painted about had orange skies and destruction. You can see that these are different. These are clear skies, good fire, Indigenous leadership, healthy communities, and empowered youth. And this is what we work toward every day. So over these years, I've learned from many great people, and one of them is Brian Hakeem Simpson. He's a wildland firefighter who was attacked in a notoriously racist part of Oregon. He defended himself, was arrested, and then sent to prison by an all-white jury. He's serving at least 5 years. Hundreds of firefighters like me are trying to get him the governor's exoneration. Hakeem and I talk on a prison app. Here's a message that he sent me for people on the outside. He says, "We are living through a defining moment in history, one that will ask seriously and relentlessly who we choose to be when the stakes are high and comfort is no longer an option. There are no days off for some people like me because of our race, citizenship, or gender identity. Please keep this in mind when you return to a living situation of power and privilege. Remember, we need to move with love, L-O-V-E, living our values every day." Reflecting on his words, I know I didn't grow up around many people who thought about fire. or who used their skills and resources for Indigenous rights and goals, despite us all living on Indigenous homelands. I recognize today how important that responsibility is for us all. A colonized system will not sustain future generations. We have a responsibility to work with Indigenous leaders to heal this world. Yeah. My grandma tells me that responsibility isn't sacrifice, it's love in action. And my great aunt says that there are two approaches to this world, fear or love. Let's channel our anxiety, let's recognize our responsibility and power, and let's choose love. Thank you.